Welcome back to The Explainer. So I am genuinely fascinated by today's topic because we're unpacking some incredibly interesting human behavior. Today, we're diving straight into the psychological playbook for attraction. We're going to explore 10 subconsciously effective and, most importantly, entirely ethical psychological tricks to build attraction. We're literally looking at the science of connection here, breaking down how the brain actually forms bonds and how you can use this knowledge to foster genuine, lasting relationships.
Now, this brings us to the core question of this whole explainer. How do you build subconscious attraction ethically? It's a really great question, right? Because we need to make it absolutely clear from the jump, we are focusing on genuine psychological phenomena here. We're entirely avoiding manipulative or toxic tactics. No way. Instead, we're looking at how to align your actions with the natural ways our brains are wired to perceive trust, value, and connection.
You know, there's this foundational rule of attraction, and it's perfectly illustrated by this brilliant analogy from our source. Imagine someone tries to sell you this amazing new book, right? It promises these secret formulas for wealth, happiness, relationships. The marketing is absolutely incredible. But then you open it and the pages are totally blank, except for a quote that says, "Life is short, you don't need these things, buy more books for better advice." Wanting to attract someone when you don't actually have an interesting life of your own? Well, it's exactly like selling that empty book. You literally have to build the contents of your own life first.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to take these concepts and build this self-to-other evolution. So we'll start with building your personal foundation. Then we'll look at the Benjamin Franklin effect, move into forging a genuine connection, step up to establishing trust and comfort, and finally, boosting your confidence game.
Starting off with phase 1, building your personal foundation. This covers self-worth, hobbies, and hygiene. Building your foundation means having a genuine passion. Whether that's programming, motorcycling, cooking, drawing, reading, or playing an instrument, the specific hobby doesn't actually matter. What matters is the intense passion behind it. But, and this is a massive but, it has to be authentic. Our source points out that if you fake it, like pretending you love carving chainsaw art in your free time when you absolutely don't, the sparkle just won't be there. People can subconsciously detect when that genuine energy is missing. Real passion, on the other hand, that makes you infinitely more interesting.
Next up in our foundation is hygiene, and our source gives us a brilliantly exact, highly actionable routine to guarantee you smell presentable. I know it sounds basic, but it's the absolute ultimate prerequisite. Step 1, body soap all over twice. Step 2, shampoo your hair. Step 3, dry off completely. Step 4, apply good deodorant and put on clean clothes. You don't need to smell like a luxury boutique, you just need to reliably smell clean.
And speaking of smelling clean, 2, that is the absolute maximum number of squirts of cologne you should ever use. The source recommends 1 on the wrist and 1 near the neckline, and that is it. The crucial point here is that nobody, literally nobody, needs half a gallon of Axe body spray. Subtlety is absolutely key when building physical attraction. All right, let's move to our second phase, the Benjamin Franklin effect. This is where we introduce the psychological hook.
So this is a fascinating, slightly secret psychological trick, but again, completely non-evil. The Benjamin Franklin effect happens when you ask someone to do something for you, and as a result, they actually end up liking you more. It sounds totally backwards, right? Like, shouldn't doing favors for them make them like you? Well, it turns out when we do things for people, our brains automatically rationalize the action by assuming, hey, I'm helping this person, therefore I must like them. Benjamin Franklin notoriously used this exact technique on his political rivals. Here's how this powerful psychological loop actually works in action. Step 1, you ask for a very small favor. The source uses the example of dropping a pencil in class and asking her to pick it up, or maybe asking to borrow some notes. Step 2, she completes the favor. Step 3, her brain subconsciously rationalizes the action and assumes she likes you a bit more. It's just a tiny, effortless shift in perception.
And this leads us directly into consistency bias. Once someone has done a small favor for you, they're psychologically primed to do more. Why? Simply because humans have this deep-seated urge to avoid looking inconsistent. But listen closely to the source's warning here. Do not overdo this. If you're constantly asking for favors, she's just gonna feel like you're using her, and that psychological magic will completely backfire. Okay, transitioning to phase 3, forging a genuine connection. This is all about friendship, humor, and undivided attention.
There's a massive psychological difference between being a true friend and being stuck in the friend zone. A lot of people really fear the friend zone, but our source notes something highly interesting. It's actually totally acceptable and historically proven to be in the friend zone for months at a time before transitioning into dating. The trick isn't to avoid friendship, it's to elevate it. So elevating it means going the extra mile with specific actions. We're talking leaving little notes in her car, sending good morning texts, genuinely talking through her problems, and actually sympathizing with her. These specific actions separate an invested friend from just a passive guy in the background. In fact, the source argues that by doing these things, you're practically halfway to dating her already. To really solidify that connection, you absolutely must give her 100% of your undivided attention. In our modern world full of screens and endless distractions, just looking someone in the eyes when they speak to you is incredibly powerful. The real psychological trick here, though, is making mental notes of what she says and bringing those topics up in later conversations. It proves you are truly listening, which, let's be honest, makes anyone feel incredibly valued and special. Now we enter phase 4, establishing trust and comfort. This is where the connection begins to physically and emotionally escalate. Breaking the touch barrier is a super powerful subconscious cue, but it must be done carefully and in a completely non-sexual way. The source gives some great low-stakes examples for this. Think lightly touching a shoulder, playfully grabbing an item from her hand, initiating a quick game of rock, paper, scissors, or even coming up with a cool handshake. This signals that you feel comfortable around her. However, and the source is explicit with this crucial warning, if she seems disgusted, scared, or pulls away at all, you must stop immediately. Respecting boundaries is absolutely non-negotiable. Now, emotionally breaking the barrier involves sharing secrets. The psychology behind this is fascinating. We naturally like and trust people who prove they trust us first. Humans have this hardwired instinct to be wary of new people, right? Well, by offering up a personal secret, you bypass that defense mechanism and essentially force a reciprocation of trust. The source actually recommends sharing things that are slightly embarrassing or deeply personal. For example, revealing you have 11 toes, or even holding a polarizing political stance like voting for Trump. Disclosing something quirky, physically unusual, or socially polarizing perfectly tests the waters for trust, and it invites them to share something equally real with you. And this builds right into our 5th and final phase, boosting your confidence game. Physical health directly correlates to mental confidence. For those in middle or high school, the source recommends a very straightforward 3-day-a-week workout split: arms, legs, and a mix of core and cardio. Building your physical form naturally builds your general presence, you know? It literally changes how you carry yourself in any social situation. But the source makes a really profound point to close on. True confidence isn't just about muscles. Actually, true confidence comes from deep self-awareness. It's about knowing exactly what makes you feel awkward and insecure, and actively working to improve it. It's not an act, it's the quiet security of knowing who you are as a person, flaws and all. Which leaves us with this final thought. Are you ready to build a psychological connection from the inside out? We've seen today that ethical attraction isn't about cheesy pickup lines. It's a structured evolution of self-improvement, subtle psychology, and genuine empathy. So, what step of your personal foundation will you build today? Thanks for hanging out with me on The Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.